All right, so day 30 of driving my car from New York to LA. We are in New York, obviously not the city. My mom ended up getting sick when we were in South Dakota. So we got the call from her and drove all the way back overnight, and that was terrible. It's taken us 3 days to actually catch up on our sleep. But yeah, she was in the ICU, so we rushed right back and ended our trip early. And she should be getting released today, but that's where I've been. I got back Friday, so the total trip would have been 28 days. It was only supposed to be 30. It was only supposed to be 21. And we had up to 30 available. So we're moving tomorrow to New York City, so that's going to be fun. But here is my old car versus my new car. Someone should be coming to get this in like an hour. I had this one for 3 years, put 70,000 miles on it. It is a standard range plus with an LFP battery. Got like 250 miles, but its actual mileage was more like 150 we tested on the highway. But got the white on white. I really liked this car. Did some other things like the vinyl. I'm not sure if I'll do that in the new one or not. And I blacked out the mirrors. And I also put a carbon fiber spoiler on it. And I have this vinyl on the sides. I think if I do it again, I will do just up here and black out the mirrors too. But I haven't quite decided. Oh, and I also blacked out the logos, which I will definitely be doing. But yeah, overall, I've had that car for 70,000 miles. It's been a great car. Had some damage on it like the day after I got it. My girlfriend at the time pushed a grill off the deck on accident, and it fell right under the car and did this. It's hard to see, but I think it's actually a very low amount of damage for a grill falling 3 feet off a deck onto it. And we didn't have a guardrail at the time because it was a rental and they didn't put a guardrail. So yeah, that fell in the car, I think the day after I brought it home. So wasn't happy. But the new one doesn't have that, thank God. However, it did get some damage on the trip. So first, I've cleaned them and driven them since, so there's more bugs. But we have a rock chip right here, and right here. That's it for rock chips that I could find. I'm sure there's more. I'm going to get this professionally detailed inside and out when I get there, because there's bugs that I can't get off because they've been sitting there for a month. I think I'm also going to take these covers off because even after I cleaned them, I apparently didn't do that great of a job, so there's still so much dirt in them, and it's hard to get the dirt out from underneath. So I think I'm just going to take them off because I think it'll look better. It's obviously a wreck in here because I haven't cleaned it inside yet. But I also got, there's like a little tiny dent somewhere here. I don't know if you can see it. And then this looks like just in the plastic, but it's not. Something scraped all the way down it. And that is into the actual, through the paint. I'm not entirely sure why this is white underneath. I feel like that's a bad idea, but yeah, apparently it is. So yeah, that went all the way through it, and I have no idea what it hit. And all the wheels look good except for one. I got some curb rash on it, but I don't remember hitting a curb. So, and my girlfriend says she didn't, but I've seen her driving, so who knows. Where is it? Oh, right here. Got a little curb rash, hit something. I didn't do it. She says she didn't do it, so either she's lying that she didn't want to hurt my car, which I wouldn't be surprised, or she doesn't remember doing it. Considering that's her car and the bumper is taped on, I kind of believe the second one needs too. I wanted her to take this one because that thing is broken. But she hates Tesla. She doesn't hate Tesla, I should say. She hates this car because it doesn't have any buttons. She says the new one she would consider. But she really hates my white one. And I would say the new one is probably worth it if anyone's ever looking. Because you can get the new one for like 30 grand if you get a long range rear wheel drive. I sold that other one for 20. That's a pretty good deal. All right, but let's see how many miles I did total. So it looks like my total miles was 7830, and my average energy was 293 watt hours per mile. I just hit over 10,000 miles. I think I am the highest mileage Model 3 performance. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Oh, why isn't this connected? Overall, the car is great, except for when Tesla fixed it, they caused a bunch of issues like this. Of course, it doesn't really want to do it loud right now, but this squeaks like hell. Probably can't hear it. There's a little creak in the door panel that's not caused from pushing on it. So I'm not really sure how that happens, but it happens occasionally. And these seats are already creased up, not so great. So I'm hoping Tesla will fix it. Oh, this is a pretty common one. This one rattles. But none of this stuff rattled before Tesla fixed the MCU with the when my cellular was out in St. Louis. So yeah, this car was rock solid when I picked it up. It was fantastic. And now it has a bunch of rattles. Oh, also, you've probably seen this door. I don't know what's up with this, but when you open it, it goes up a little and then closes when you do it. That's really strange to me because my old one did not do that. Like, they both go down, obviously, but this one doesn't open at all, so that's really weird. But as I said before, this car is supposed to get 250 miles. It's got more like 170 in real world testing on the highway. Where this one, I did real world testing on the highway. We went from Iowa to Chicago on a full tank, and I got there with like 5% and left with like 95%. And I got there with like 16 miles left. If you add all of that left over, the car would have gotten 285 miles from full to empty. And mind you, that's with 2 people, 2 dogs, and like 1,000 pounds of gear in it. So I think it did pretty good to just be 18 miles short of its rated range with all of that. And obviously it was dirty and covered in bugs, and believe it or not, that does mess with aerodynamics just a little. Like if you ever spray this off, you'll see the water catching on it. The air does the same thing. You just can't see it, of course. So that will mess with aerodynamics, so a clean car does get better range. It was 100% not clean. It was so bad. The whole front is plastered. This one was bad for bugs, but I think this one's worse. They're both flat front, so I feel like it shouldn't much matter. But yeah, I think this one gets worse. And I think you would see it less because this is white. But no, you definitely see it more on this one. Or it's just worse. I don't know. But yeah, I got home, and so I won't have any more updates. Ooh, I have a couple scratches on here. I don't know how that happened. And you might see marks like this on the car. I did a crappy job washing it, apparently. But yeah, the car did pretty good for our trip. I honestly don't think this one would have made it. Because there was portions in South Dakota, Wyoming, and Utah that had no chargers for many, many, many miles. Utah particularly, I had to charge to 100% just to make it to a non-Tesla charger and sit there during lunch to get an extra 30 miles to make it. So it was like 330 miles to make it. And it tried to route me like 2 hours out of my way, and that would get me to a closer charger, but I'm like, no, that sounds awful. So I could have done it. It would have been very inconvenient. So yeah, we did that. We got to the lunch, charged like 60 miles during our lunch, and then moved on. But with 170-ish miles, I don't think this one could have ever done that portion. So we would have had to cut out Utah, Yellowstone, and just come home straight from San Francisco. And some of the Midwestern states just don't really have chargers, so they likely would have similar issues, and I just didn't go through them. But I will continue making content on the car. One thing I wanted to do was do sound testing between the old one and the new one. And I already recorded it for this one, and I haven't recorded it for this one yet because I need to unload it and stuff. But yeah, this one also has winter tires on it, so it makes it a little bit unfair. But it does have the dual pane glass in the front. Does not have it in the back or the windshield, I don't think. Versus the new one's dual pane all around. And it definitely makes a noticeable difference. Even on stock wheels, from my memory, this car is substantially quieter. It's also a substantially softer ride. It's really strange that the Performance has a softer ride than that one, but it's all about that adaptive performance suspension. So the new ones are supposed to be softer, and then this one's even softer yet. Other than that, yeah, I'm very happy with this car. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed on it. Like I bought some touch-up paint to fix all these rock chips. And I'm going to take this to Tesla with a laundry list of issues for them to fix because, like I said before, they caused all those issues inside. And then the seat probably wasn't their fault, but it's been creased since I bought it. So, and again, I've owned the car for a month and a half. It shouldn't be creasing. I think hers is even creasing. Hers is very dirty. One of the dogs got sick. You can kind of see it right here. It is creasing just a little. But mine is definitely worse. But this one has a bunch of software issues too that I forgot to mention. Like it still won't route with cellular data, so there's no traffic routing. I do have cellular data working, so I have maps and supercharging working. Spotify does not work, so I have to use Bluetooth, which is fine because premium connectivity ran out and I didn't really plan on renewing it. However, I might do it in the future because being able to see the cameras and see the dogs inside wherever I am is very nice. Especially since I had about a dozen people threaten to break my windows on this trip. Everyone's like, oh no, you have to open the window for them. And I'm like, guys, it's 100 degrees. The AC is plenty. If I open the window, it's going to be hotter. And they just want to argue with me. Half the time I just left. It's funny, I had like one tour bus of old people, like really old, like 90, all crowding around the car and yelling about the dogs and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, we were about to punch the window. And I'm like, I would love to see one of you people punch a double pane window that also has ceramic wrap holding it together. I am quite positive you would break your hand before my window even cracked. So, yeah, I think it'd be hilarious. But yeah, people didn't, understand, oh, the AC's on. They're like, that's not enough. You have to open the window, do a state law. And I'm like, this is hotter. That's a terrible idea. So a lot of times that we just left before that could happen. But yeah, I will keep you guys updated. I want to do some videos like the sound testing. I had one in mind where both cars get substantially better range if you go the speed limit. Because there was one time where we didn't want to stop. We would have got to the charger with -1%, and we're like, okay, if we just go the speed limit the whole time, we don't have to stop again. And it probably wasted more time than just stopping again. But in our heads, when we had been driving for 16 hours, we just didn't want to get off the road. But yeah, so we went to speed limit for like 80 miles and got there with like 18%. So it does vastly better when you go to the speed limit. And the speed limit was like 65 and I was going like 79. So 14 miles apparently makes a huge difference. And I've seen the same thing with this one. So I wanted to do a test like, go 80 for 5 miles and check the watt hours, and then go 70, then go 60 or 50. And I probably would do it in like 20-mile increments, like so 80, 60, 40. And like if you're in a city, this thing basically has infinite miles, because as soon as you press the gas, you're going to hit another light and have to get off the gas, and it recharges. Every time I'm stuck in traffic, I go down like 1 mile, even if I go like 20 miles. So it really, I bet this thing could go 600-700 miles at 10-15 miles an hour in traffic. It wouldn't be pleasant, but I bet it could. And just like the Michigan thing where people got caught in the snow and blah, 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 that's fake news. It's really BS, because someone did an independent testing and it was actually on this car, so this one's even more efficient. But half battery, this car lasted 15 hours with the heating set to 68. And then they turned the heat off and just turned the heated seat on full, which is enough to keep your body temperature high enough where you won't die. And if you put a blanket over it, you're plenty. That went 24 hours. So double that at full battery. But they wanted to make it realistic, like, I'm at half battery because I was just driving. So they wanted to make it realistic. But yeah, gas cars are not going to last 24 hours with their heat on, because they're running the whole engine, versus these cars should just be running the heat pump. Especially if you had like a black car in the winter, it'd last even longer, or a white car in the summer. It would do even better. But yeah, they always say, what if you run out of battery? Well, if you run out of gas, you're still dead. So if you get there with 10%, it sucks. You're probably going to die if you get stuck there for 18 hours. But like, if you get there with 10% of your fuel tank, yeah, you're probably still going to die. It doesn't much matter. And they're like, well, you can get fuel to it. And I'm like, okay, I have a 1 kilowatt battery in my trunk right now for camping that I can charge my car on. It's not much when the car is 82 kilowatts, but it's something. And 1 kilowatt in this car is like 4 miles. So it would probably be enough to get me to a charger or a slow charger. And even then, most cars will have like an outlet, and I could plug it in off of one of them. So it's really not an issue. And that includes EVs would have an outlet too. The Model 3 doesn't, but the Cybertruck does. And all of them have converters. Like, you can buy converters for these and then get an outlet. And I could just plug it in, charge my car. I'm only going to get 4 miles an hour. But if I'm about to die, I feel like most people would be like, yeah, sure, plug the car in. Unless they are hardcore Republicans and hate electric cars, which I see a lot of, even though I would never buy a gas car again. I have a long history with gas cars, but I would never buy another one. These cars are just far superior. I had to drive her car the other day, and I'm going to have to take that truck to move my stuff tomorrow. But I would never buy another gas car. The only thing I would ever buy a gas car for is I would buy like a cheap $2,000 truck to pull around like jet skis or something if I ever got them. However, that's not even really required. I've been looking into it. You can get a tow package on this, and it can tow 3,500 pounds, according to Tesla. And I've seen people actually tow more like 6,000 pounds without issue. Because it's bolted on right to the frame, and then it's like a stealth hook, so you don't see it. when it's not in use. The only problem is it would be very low to the ground, so you'll have to get like a lifter for it. Not for the car, for the hitch. I forget what they're called. But this could easily tow a trailer or jet skis or a small boat or something like that. And that was $1,400 from U-Haul installed with the wiring harness and everything. The actual hitch itself is super easy to install. It takes like 10 bolts to take the bumper off. Then you unbolt like 3 different bolts on the actual frame, put that in and bolt them back in. And there you go. You're not making any holes or anything. You're just unscrewing things and putting down your bumper very carefully not to scratch it. The wiring harness, I don't really know how to do. I don't really want to mess with wiring on an electric car. I wired up my house for the charger, but that's probably about as far as I'm going to go. Yeah, I wouldn't mess with that on this car, but U-Haul will do it. It's $280 something for just the wiring harness, and it was $450 for them both installed, so I assume $250 for just the wiring harness, hopefully. And I wanted to talk to them about that, because if I can get this for like $1,200, and I just installed the back myself, then I would definitely do it. But it's $800 if you know how to do the wiring harness too. But yeah, that I'm assuming has to require some splicing of wires. But yeah, I just wanted to update you on everything. I will have more videos coming out soon. Might be a few days probably, because moving to New York City, I'm not going to have my house set up for a bit. So I'd probably expect end of the week, early next week, but hopefully earlier. If you have any questions, let me know. Other than that, like and subscribe. See ya.